Celtic are still pushing forward with efforts to hire a new manager after Brendan Rodgers' dramatic exit more than 1 week ago. Martin O'Neill replaced Rodgers as the interim manager and has since overseen a 4-0 win against Falkirk and a 3-1 victory against Rangers after extra time in the Scottish League Cup. As a result, Football Insider revealed on 3 November that O'Neill is increasingly likely to take over as Celtic permanently as a result of his early success. However, a number of alternatives are still being explored at Parkhead, with the likes of Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna and Wales Craig Bellamy firmly on their list. As things stand, though, Bellamy is focused on managing Wales and plans to guide his country through their final World Cup qualifying games in November. Despite doubts about whether Bellamy would take over at Celtic, he remains one of the options on their list amid suggestions he could join later in the year. However, there are a few questions being asked behind the scenes in Glasgow about whether Bellamy would be a good fit for the high-pressure role at Parkhead. That is according to former Man United and Blackburn chief scout Mick Brown, who remains very well connected within the game, as he exclusively told Football Insider that the Wales boss's lack of experience at club level makes his appointment unlikely. Craig Bellamy is somebody Celtic will look at, he told Football Insider. They have to sit down and look at every option available before making a decision, so they're not going to rule anybody out from the get-go. But I don't see Bellamy as being somebody who would come in and make a difference at Celtic. He doesn't have the experience needed to deal with a role as big as this, and he hasn't ever managed at club level before, so I don't know what they would see in him. I think it's very unlikely that he'd be among the front runners or anything more than a consideration. I think that's one of the problems they will have, finding somebody with that relevant experience. It's a huge job at Celtic, and they need somebody they know can handle it both on and off the pitch, so going with a relatively inexperienced option is unlikely. Given the alternative options on the shortlist at Parkhead, most of whom have plenty of experience at the top level, it is unlikely Bellamy will be chosen by Celtic. Martin O'Neill emerging as clear candidate for Celtic job. Football Insider exclusively revealed on 31 October that O'Neill would be prepared to stay at Celtic beyond his current interim spell with a longer term in mind. The 73-year-old's last full-time managerial role was with Nottingham Forest in 2019, but sources say he is excited by his return and has changed his mind on just being interim. Meanwhile, Celtic fans would love O'Neill to stay after the success of his interim role so far, and have widely tipped him as the favourite to become their next permanent boss. However, Brown told Football Insider that O'Neill is unlikely to accept a long-term offer from Celtic, but could stay in his interim role until the end of the season. The boss is believed to have doubts about whether taking the long term would be right for him, and is more likely to serve an extended interim period.